Welcome to Lazov's Army of Darkness. Hope you're excited. As far as our opening hand goes, yes, I like it. We're going to keep on this one. Like to see some fast mana, but beggars can't be choosers. I like what we've got going on. We've got some pretty cool options for Lazov to hopefully kind of put their mask on and kind of go. I always think, and actually I'll explain it here in a second. Let's go ahead and get down Bloodstained Mire, and then, yeah, we'll go and crack Bloodstained Mire. We'll just go ahead and get down one of our tap lands. That way I can cover our commanders and not worry about forgetting to crack our fetch land. So let's go ahead and grab a Fetid Pool. It's going to come into play tapped, and we're going to pass turn to our opponent. We're playing Lazav. Whenever Lazav enters the battlefield, surveil 1. Then for an X activation, Lazav becomes a copy of target creature card in your graveyard with converting mana cost X, except it is still Lazav. It's legendary in addition to its other types, and it has this ability. So he's going to reach into the graveyard and turn himself into one of those creatures. We're playing as Karador, Ghost Chieftain. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. Then during each of your turns, you may cast 1 creature card from your graveyard. And our opponent did grab a Godless Shrine and get down a Marsh Flat. So now we do have Dimir Infiltrator. That's something that we can transmute for 2. So we'll see exactly what we're going to go for off of that. But yeah, let's go and get down Lazav. That sounds pretty good. Let's go to get down Underground Sea. Let's go and go for Lazav. That's going to be, man, there's just something so nice about having a 2 converted mana cost commander, getting it down, and especially when you get some nice surveil, enters the battlefield, always feels good. Let's go and put that into the, do we want that on top? Yeah, let's go and put that into the graveyard right now. I'd like to hit some sort of either, fast mana or some sort of card advantage, kind of dig a little bit deeper into our library. We do have a couple different options to allow us to kind of dump some stuff into the graveyard. Stuff like Careful Study and Tie-Gam Scheming allows us to kind of throw some stuff over there. So hopefully that's what we're going to be going for. Oh, look at that. Beautiful play by our opponent. All right, so we have 2 lanes on the battlefield. They go for Marsh Flats activation. In response to the activation, they go for Tithe to search your library for some extra plains cards. So nice. Always like to, that's one of my favorite plays to do. And always like to at least kind of... I don't know, it's just a really, really efficient play right there by our opponent. So, good job by them. And then we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. But yes, if you do not see the deck, what are we doing with Lazav? This is a really interesting build of Lazav. I originally kind of started building this really big version of Lazav where there's a lot of 4 and 5 drop creatures and 6, and it was a lot of fun, but I felt like it was kind of clunky sometimes. Like you were trying to get down Lazav, and by the time you could get all those creatures into the graveyard and get to 6 mana, Lazav was probably already taken care of by then. You could wait on Lazav, but most of the time you want to get it down, at least get some sort of action going. And so what we ended up doing was basically just kind of building this kind of black-blue Tezzeret build of Lazav with a really nice Voltron theme, and I don't know, it's just been an absolute blast so far. Let's see, so we have Dimir Infiltrator. We can chunk that into the graveyard and grab something for 2. I do want to get Sword of the Animus. That's going to allow us to get some stuff moving. Let's go to get Unchoked. We're going to reveal Swamp out of our hand. Now, we can go for the transmute. Let's go and swing in for 1. I was trying to think if we want to just get down Virtus, the Veiled. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so that's going to swing in. Let's go and get down Virtus the Veiled. That was going to force him to have some sort of answer. Or we can start really partner with... Man, he's not in here, Veil. I'm sorry. He's not in here, buddy. No, we're not going to use that ability. And then we'll go past the turn to our opponent. I really like imagining him entering the battlefield and being like, all right, let's go. And then he can't find his buddy, and he's like, uh-oh. It's just him and his poisonous pickaxe now. But yeah, so we have a Voltron build in here. We have tons of swords in here. Sword of Fire and Ice, Sword of Feast and Famine. And then also Sword of War and Peace. We've got Armory Automaton, which is a lot of fun. Get that down. And the funny thing about Armory Automaton is I've always run it in all of my Voltron decks. Is that I guess I've just never gotten it down. I didn't realize that Armory Automaton enters the battlefield. You put all equipment on it, but you can also whenever it attacks, you get all the equipment too, which is something that I just didn't realize. I was like, oh yeah, there's an attack clause on that. So. It's definitely something to keep in mind. Okay, so our opponent's going to get down Voice of Plenty. Planeswalkers you control and other creatures you control have hexproof. So we do have Intuition. That's something that can definitely allow us to dump some stuff into the graveyard. Let's do this. So let's go ahead and get down... we can't simply... Oh, and actually, excuse me, with Intuition, with them having hexproof, we actually can't cast that now, so that's not going to be too good for us. I know that's going to be a little bit of a hit with, if we go for Toxic, but I kind of like taking care of Voice of Plenty. Yeah, if we go for Toxic, we can't get down, but it's going to be really hard for us to deal with that flying. So let's go ahead and push in for 1 with both of our creatures. Veil's going to take the hit on this one. It's going to send her into the graveyard, and that still allows us to go for, actually, we don't have to go for Toxic, so that was really nice. Let's go for Intuition. And actually, we could have done that. No, actually, that would have been damage. So I was thinking we could have done it at the end of our damage step, but that basically already happened. Let's go and go for Intuition. Let's get this popped out. Let's go for Phyrexian Dreadnought. Let's go for Blighted Agent, and then let's go ahead and go for Invisible Stalker. Okay, so we're going to go Phyrexian Dreadnought, Blighted Agent, and Invisible Stalker. This is pretty much going to keep us open for Lazav. With Invisible Stalker, that's going to allow us to at least kind of make a copy of it. And then Blighted Agent is going to have that nice infect, which you can also kind of make a copy of Phyrexian Dreadnought. All right, so it's going to get down Polluted Delta. Let's go and crack Polluted Delta. This is one of the fun things about Polluted Delta is that, yeah, we're going to take 2 on this one. Yeah, we're fine with that. Get down Phyrexian Dreadnought. We'll sacrifice Phyrexian Dreadnought in response to its own ability. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. All right, kick back up. Sorry, my phone went off, so I just kind of had to put it on silent really quick. But yeah, so off of that flip, so we've got Blighted Agent. We can turn into an unblockable creature. It's going to allow us to push past on our opponent. The only downside is we are kind of sitting with no mana open at this point right now, so we are completely open to some sort of spot removal. But we can at least kind of at least make a copy of Phyrexian Dreadnought and have that 12/12 trample and really kind of put some pressure on our opponent. Another key piece of equipment they do have is going to be Uozama's Jitte. So actually, if we want to go for the transmute off of Dimir Infiltrator, we can actually dump that into the graveyard. That's one of the cool things about Dimir Infiltrator in this deck is that you can use it for a transmute ability. It's going to go into the graveyard, and then you can use that that can't be blocked ability for only 2 mana to really kind of help you push in through some damage, especially in a Voltron build like this. Our opponent's going to go for E-Call. Search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So we'll see what they're going to get down. They basically only have 2 or 3 mana available. They haven't made the land drop for the turn yet, so we'll see if they can make the land drop or what sort of creature they're going to get down. Okay, the opponent is going for Walking Ballista, which is basically just going to be a 1/1 if they want to get it down at this point right now. Okay. Now, one thing that we can do is we can definitely go for Toxic for 1. That'll be 1 damage, put it down to a 1/2. They can remove that counter if they want to. Okay, we're drawn to Island. Let's go and get down Island, and you know what? Let's go and go for the Phyrexian Dreadnought. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, let's go and go for a Toxic Deluge. We're going to go in Toxic for 1. Now, our opponent can go for that activation. We'll lose 1 off of Lazav, putting it down to 11/11. But at least we're going to be able to get some damage on our opponent. Okay, let's go and swing in for an 11/11. Knock them down to 13 total commander damage and knock them down to 15. And then anything else will go and pass the turn to our opponent. Now, like I mentioned, if they would have had some spot removal, I assume they probably would have used it by then. So hopefully, if we can at least kind of get this to stick around, we should be in a pretty good position. And this is what makes the deck so much fun, is that we have some nice Voltron pieces in here, but once you kind of get that really nice graveyard going with something like Intuition, you can just simply become a copy of Invisible Stalker, swing in, and then have it become a copy of Lazav, so you can kind of feel him changing his mask. I don't know. All right, so destroy all artifacts, destroy all creatures that converting mana cost 3 or less, so that will take care of it, so that we'll at least have some sort of answer for us dealing some commander damage to our opponent. And let's see, drawn to Drowned Catacomb. Let's go and get down Drowned Catacomb. Let's get Lazav. So Lazav's going to be 4 mana to get down. That will give us an additional Surveil. And I think that's going to be the best bet for us to... yeah, I like that. Because then it also allows us to go for something in response to that. We can go for Invisible Stalker if they do have some sort of spot removal. So let's go for Lazav again. And the Talisman of Dominance, let's go and put that into the graveyard for right now. And then anything else, we'll kick it back over to our opponent. So hopefully, if we're going to be able to make a copy of Phyrexian Dreadnought, that will be lethal commander damage. And that's one of the downsides to this deck, especially in 1 versus 1, is that, you know, getting down Phyrexian Dreadnought is definitely one of the better cards for this deck, and that you can make Lazav a 12/12 with trample. And especially when you throw on some, you know, sort of blank and blank and different things like that. But it's one of the ways that we can win with the deck, and kind of have to force that issue. But at this point right now, we'll see what our opponent's going to be tutoring up a Demonic Tutor. Like I mentioned, if it is some sort of spot removal, we can just go for Invisible Stalker in response to that. So they're basically going to have to grab some sort of board wipe, and since they don't have another black source, we're probably looking at something like Wrath of God to take care of Lazav. Alright, so our opponent actually goes for a Bajuka Bog, targeting our graveyard. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and go for, that's pretty good play. Let's go for Phyrexian Dreadnought. Yeah, we need to force the issue. We'll go for Phyrexian Dreadnought. Like, you know, if we had some sort of equipment in our hand, I would be really tempted to, like, you know, maybe kind of make a copy of Invisible Stalker. We had sort of Feast and Famine in hand, but since we don't, I at least like kind of threatening some sort of win condition on the turn that at least we kind of go for that activation in response to Bajuka Bog. Okay, opponent will get down Karador Ghost Chieftain. And then that will be a 3-4 on the battlefield. But it's going to be 4, it's going to be 8. That will be exactly 21 commander damage, if I'm correct. Yep, opponent's going to scoop it up. I think they just realized that too. So you can see how potent Lazav can be. I know this wasn't a really crazy win, but this is pretty much what you're trying to do with Lazav. You know, put some really good pressure on your opponent. If we didn't get into Phyrexian Dreadnought really quick, we have something like Constable. Once we get some of those Voltron pieces, it's going to allow us to kind of start bouncing back some of the stuff to their hands. But we're going to be able to close it out with the official Phyrexian Dreadnought win, which always feels really nice. So, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.